All right, it says I'm live, and I have to believe that it is somehow true. Hold on for a second. What have I got here? I'm looking for some background music clips. And I do have some. Okay. There we go. Some loopy background clips. Now, I apologize for the lighting situation. I have full lights in my art studio, but as soon as I turn them on, it creates a huge glare. It's like the ceiling, it's like a 10-foot ceiling, because this used to be a garage. It creates a lot of glare, so you can't see anything if I turn the lights on. So we're going to have to do this way. There we go. As long as I zoom in, you can see everything. All right, let me show you a little bit about the comic, this tower, if this is your first time seeing it. This is for an anthology that I'm doing with my friend Dan. And the tower is sort of a tale of a war-torn future where AI and humanity are at war. And I have this little gargoyle character. And he's not part of the conflict. He's neither part of the humanity part or the AI. There's the AI. You can actually see it. This drone appears. And you can see that the war is ongoing, right? The drone goes home. Oops. This will all have dialogue too. Right now, I haven't done the dialogue yet. And it returns to this tower, and our sort of gargoyle character sees it, decides to follow. Something compels him. And we see what the tower is for once, and we can see that it has this eye symbol, the AI. I is an EYE. And it decides to investigate. I have a hard time zooming back out of this. And so by around page 5 or 6, it is investigating and exploring the tower. This might be my favorite panel out of all of it. The AI knows it's there, of course. In the upper reaches, we can see that what the AI is actually powered by is other humans, right? And our gargoyle investigates. The AI is compelling him further in. And what we see on this page 7, is that we see that it's like a giant. But he's sick. There's something wrong with him, or it. So I'll start with that. What we're going to start by doing is, there are not many panel borders in this. There are 2 panels up at the top, and then this is a big open panel at the bottom, so it doesn't have any borders. So we're going to go ahead and finish the panel borders here. I think I should go on this side of it. You know what? I want to do this one as a little bit. Since we're no longer on a grid with a big open panel, we can make 2 different size panels. There's a lot of ways you can make comics. There's no one way. Anybody who tells you this is what all comic artists have to do, I'm not saying they're wrong. All comic artists have to breathe air. But you don't have to trust everything. All right. a lot of times this universal wisdom of comic artists is it's really about a certain style of comics. And the true meaning of style is that style is individual. Everybody has a style. And when you see a lot of people that all kind of have the same style, they've suppressed their style. They've lost their style. They don't have it. All right, I think this is going to be our ink layer. So the way I like to do it is just a rough, and that's the pencil layer, and I drop the opacity down so I can automatically tell, where the draft is, and then the ink layer. And then I try and do as much of the real drawing as possible in the ink layer. Is this the way you should do it? Probably not. It's just the way I do it. My personal philosophy of comics is about simplicity and storytelling. I think those are important. Expressions are very important when you're doing storytelling. Learn to draw expressions if you can, because that can show a lot of the story just in the expression of the character. And in this panel, what's his expression? He's unsure, right? He's got an unsure expression. Also, I think anybody can make a comic. Little kids can make comics. What makes a comic not worth making, or a so-called bad comic? Memes are good comics, by the way. I think most memes are really actually quite effective at storytelling. Think of all the memes that you've seen. A meme that makes you laugh, that's a good comic. All right. So there's no tracing, right? You saw my crappy little pencil lines. Sometimes you hear this term called finished pencils. Got finished pencils here. Finished pencils only make sense if you're handing it off to an inker who doesn't know what you're trying to create. In this case, that you would need, because whatever the inker does is what goes. This is why I think inkers, first of all, inkers should be the artist on the comic. This is my personal belief. If you don't agree, it's okay. But I don't think that the assembly line method of comics, which is the default now, which is where you get, one guy writes the story, one guy draws it, one guy inks it. You hired a letterer, maybe you've got a colorist, possibly an editor. I think an editor might be actually useful, because you have blindness problems to your own work, especially when you're first creating it. But every new person that you add, it dilutes the original. It dilutes the art. It dilutes the original intent. And all of the real art is done in the inking part, where the part where you're embellishing and making it dark. So that's why I leave a lot of the penciling out. Like, I don't do a lot of detail. other than guidelines. And the reason for that, by the way, this is my hand. I'm modeling it to figure out how to draw this guy's hand. I'm wondering if, yeah. There we go. Let me put some, oh, there's some comments already. Hey there. Finally caught you live. I haven't been live in 2 years. Hey, Paul. First of all, great to see you. I haven't been live in years. Oh, there we go. So a lot of stuff went on. I'll just explain. Well, I don't really know you, but I mean, we know each other by reputation. I've visited your videos a lot as well. I think you're great. Whew, come on now. I'm trying to fix this. But I moved cross country last year, almost exactly a year ago. I retired from my job. I basically quit my job, took a deal on the 11th floor. No, that's a little Dungeon Crawler Carl reference. I took a deal on the 11th floor, and now I'm basically retired at this point, which is cool. I don't have to work anymore. Now, hopefully I haven't screwed this up. I know that I've screwed this up before, where I've like left out his tail, or got the head horns, or I did the nose different. Anyway, this is little sweat bead that's jumping off the character. This is cartooning to me. Like once you've like added one of these, and you would see this in like Little Abner or something, or maybe even Peanuts, you know, you would see something like that. Here's our gargoyle character. He's entering the he's entering the room with the AI god. Oh, come on. I gotta think about these wings as they come off. I think it's like that. I think that's how it should be. Yeah, it says you'll be cranking out tons of comics then. I hope so. Probably not. You know, it's one of the funny things is once the pressure is gone, it's like the motivation sometimes leaves as well. I have been enjoying doing lots of like art, which is a lot of fun. Comics is a big part of it, of course, but oops, because I love storytelling. But you can do all kinds of, you can do all kinds of things that have storytelling in them, I guess. So I do love comics, and I always love comics, and I think I do want to create as many comics as I can. But I don't know if it'll be a zillion. All right, wait. I think we're good here. I'm going to try and do like this little, when you look at a floor and it's got kind of that base plate sort of thing. It's just it's a tiny detail, but it always looks good when you have a little extra in there. Simplicity is key. All right. I do want to do like newspaper cartoons. Or newspapers. There are no newspapers anymore that have cartoons, as far as I know, or comics. But I do want to do that kind of style, like 3 and 4 panel, I think. And I'll put them on Instagram. That was the Ed Piskor's plan before he passed. was to do sort of this newspaper style strip, the Switchblade Shorties thing, and it was, to me, it worked. It was, I don't know if I really liked the subject of, you know, when you look at like juvenile delinquents in the 1950s or the 1940s or the 1930s. Yeah. Oh, it says okay. Paul says, I think I know what you mean. More time doesn't mean you can spend it all doing artwork. Totally true. Totally true. When I first told everybody, well, basically, I don't have to get a job at this point, and they were like, "What? Not really. I mean, you're too young." And I have figured a bunch of things out, and also I live in a very inexpensive place right now. I bought a house in Lubbock, Texas, which is where I went to college, and it's very inexpensive, and I really am on a sort of a pension kind of thing, which is really cool. But most people's like concept of retirement is like they're going to be drinking all day or something, right? You've probably heard that one. Oh, I'm going to be drinking margaritas all day. I don't really drink. So I was like, no, I won't be doing that. Plus, come on, man. I still get the occasional like commission for Runes magazine, or just general D&D stuff, and I think that's cool. I'll still do those, and it's great to have the supplemental stuff there. I'm actually just a few years away from a legitimate like Social Security kind of deal. But like for what I've saved so far, I've been living off savings for the last year. I've been doing really well as far as I'm concerned. I've joined the Lubbock Sketch Club, which is really cool. There's some perspective lines. All right, boom. I had thought about doing like one of the bodies from the previous page here. Whoops. This weird corridor. I guess I could put that's on the other side of the wall though, because he turns. So this is the corridor that he's moving down as he gets closer and closer to the AI. I thought about putting one of these bodies down here. Or maybe I won't do that. Come on, man. I am sweating. I just did this big walk. I live near a park, and I thought, okay, I've got to have some kind of routine. So my routine is every day I do like a mile walk in the park, and then a little bit later this afternoon I'll do another mile walk in the park. I don't know if that's the right angle. Let's do it this way. Does that look like the correct perspective? It looks perspective-ish. There we go. Oh, that's looking good. Sometimes I think, oh, I could just, maybe I'll draw some light coming down here. I think I'll do that, but I'll do it with like a mid-tone. Okay. One thing I wasn't really expecting, I moved here in August 9th of last year. That's when I bought this house. And it is definitely a fixer-upper. But it was super cheap, and I have been fixing it up. I've gotta do something about my bathroom. The Formica countertop was apparently just painted over in the bathroom, and so the paint's been peeling this whole time, and I've got to figure out how to fix that. Pretty cool. Okay. This is the final door. Here's our baseboard. If you can, there we go. Good. All right. I might throw another layer on just so when I'm doing the gargoyle, it doesn't interfere with this basic perspective shot of the final AI door. I'm just sort of taking in some details on the walls. Tech corridor. There we go. Yeah, I love Texas. I had to come back. So this is where I say something people might not like to hear, but I ended a relationship to also come here. The lady I was involved with, she didn't want to come to Texas either. But I'm not married, so it's a little different. And you know, the world's getting a little crazy lately. This represents a very stable place for me. Like I said, I went to college here. All right, so wait, I'm gonna temporarily reduce the opacity on my ink lines. There we go. His head isn't that big. Oh, it's fine. I spent about a year and a half explaining it, and I offered, you could come with me. That was an offer too. But I think things, some relationships, they don't really end so much as they're completed. And that's where I think that this had gone. I don't have any bad feelings toward that person. I don't think she has any bad feelings towards me. Maybe she does. I don't really know. I sent her a happy birthday text, and she sends me a happy birthday text. So as far as I'm concerned, it's fine. It's probably the nicest ex relationships that I have ever had, and I'm not interested in anyone else right now. I just don't care about being in a relationship. Not necessarily with her, but with anybody. I mean, and there was some fundamental differences of opinion. His leg should not be extended like that. And that's just how it is sometimes. I don't like this leg. Whoops, what's going on here? Come back. There we go. So that seems fine to me. But it took me about a year of planning. I had to save a lot of money. And I think most people could do this if they could get through the debt part. I've never had a good experience with an ex. I have had very, very, very few good experiences with an ex, and also this is not somebody I was married to, but I was married, back in the early 2000s and the late 90s, and that was one of the worst experiences of my life, bar none. And so there are worse things than being, there are worse things than being a single person. Being a single person is cool, I think, in my opinion. I'm actually very antisocial or unsocial. What is the right word? I just don't go anywhere. Like, I've just joined the sketch club after being here almost a year. I think I've gone to like 6 of the meetings, and that's totally fun. Like, and it's all guys. Like, it's all like you go there and it's all cartoonists, which is really kind of fun. And they all do they all have different styles. I love them all. There's a guy named Sid. I really like all of his art. There's a guy named Nick that pretty much is central. He's super nice. He's really into Digimon. It's a lot of fun. And then there's other guys that I've met. I met this dude named Jesus last week, which is cool. They also, it's kind of weird. Lubbock is a strange place. Not a lot of people think of Lubbock when they think of Texas. It's closer to the top western area. We're probably closer to New Mexico and Oklahoma than we are to places like other places in Texas. So it's always been a favorite place of mine. Like I said, I went to college here and loved it. Here's my wing structure. Woo, nice and fast. I'm going to end up covering his arms with these wings, which is fine as long as it still reads right. There we go. Bald guy, something Terry. Not sure. I don't know him offhand. It's funny. Lubbock is it's sort of a legendary small town. Like, that's what it's known for being, is a place where everybody knows almost everyone else. I mean, it's like the 14th largest city in the US or something. It's like, it's on the list somewhere, but it is really tiny, especially when school is out. So like, everybody in Lubbock knows who the Mad Hatter is. There's a dude named Mad Hatter. I went to college with him. He owns a game shop called Mad Hatter's House of Games, I think. But when I was in college, he was a college student with me. And he indeed used to wear a top hat everywhere. And I think his real name is Robert Gimbalot, or Gimbalo. And he, I think he officially changed his name to the Mad Hatter. Or Hatter, I think is what everyone used to call him. We used to have, I lived in Bledsoe Hall, which was across from Sneed Hall. And there was like there were 2 rival gaming groups. One was called Damage Incorporated. Oops, let me add these together. One was called Damage Incorporated, and the other gaming group was called the West Texas, the Legion West. And they both ran like all kinds of games, but at the time, I mostly knew them for the superhero role-playing games. But everybody played war games and everything else. It was really fun. And one time, there were some guys that were kind of in both groups. And one time there was a big crossover event where Legion West and Damage Incorporated came together for a big tournament kind of adventure thing. and it was really cool. There we go. There we are. I'm going to take the pencil layer out and see how this looks. This is a very small panel, so if I don't get it perfect, it's fine. As long as it reads, we're probably okay. And I think that does read okay. I got to probably put some kind of, well, this line, this is a perspective line, needs to be a little more straight. That's one of my best memories of college, is the big battle royale between Legion West and Damage Incorporated. One of the coolest things. There was a guy named Ken, and I ran into Ken later in life on the internet. He was one of the original kind of D&D bloggers, and he had this character named Skankman, as I recall. My character was named Lunatic. I can't remember anybody else's. I totally 100% remember Skankman and a bunch of the others. There was a guy named that was I don't know what his real name was, but they called him Mike Mouth because he was just sort of this big mouth guy. Like, he didn't have a physically large mouth. This wasn't a physical thing. He was just a loud mouth. Like, that was. Then there were a bunch of guys named Dave. So everybody, all the Daves had individual names. So one Dave was always smiling, so he was called Smilin' Dave. So you would be talking about Dave, and they go, "Which Dave are you talking about?" And he was Smilin' Dave. Smilin' Dave. And everybody knew who that was. Oh, he's got a tail. I screwed this up again. Okay, how do I do the tail when it's from behind? I think I'm just gonna, yeah, like that. Have it coming out of the back of his. There we go. His loincloth. But if I knew more about this terrier, where he hung out, I probably will run into him at some point. Like I said, it's a large, small town, so like everybody knows every place. Like, for example, there's a place in Lubbock, I think it's called the West Texas or the Lubbock. Oh God, it's where you buy used art supplies. What's the used art supply place? But you go there and it's mostly like ladies, you know, and they're buying like, you know, yarn and sewing stuff, but they have everything there. So you could get, like, they have a barrel full of colored pencils. So you can buy just colored pencils by the handful. Like, fill this bag for, you know, $5 or something. And like, everybody knows about that. You could be at Second Chance Books and run into people that you know, or that you met at Walmart or something. So that's a lot of fun. I will always love Lubbock. It's very cool. All right, we got our first two panels. Now, these panels are going to have a mid-tone. Paul says I don't think he's on YouTube anymore. That's too bad. If I do run across a video from, because every once in a while you'll see something get reposted, I'll definitely try and figure out who it is. I want to do this mid-tone thing on this next page, but we're not going to do it until the whole thing is done. The way I like to do it is just kind of throw it on a layer, and then I'll black it out, reduce the opacity to, and then, you know, as an example, I'll do this one real quick, but I won't keep it. This is how I like to do the mid-tone layer. So you would black out the panel completely. Just black it out. This better be on the right layer, because otherwise I've ruined everything. And you would carve out, you know, then you reduce the opacity down to about, I don't know, 30% or something. It's 34%. And then to carve out the light, you'd say, okay, here's my light source. And I'm just using the eraser at this point. And then I do the same trick on the figure as well. So the top of the character. So this is an easy way to kind of figure out where the light is going if you have a direct light source. However, we won't be keeping that later. Will Terrell. Will Terrell. Okay, that name does sound familiar. I didn't know he's in Lubbock. Will Terrell. Not Will Ferrell. Will Terrell. Let's see. I will look him up. I'm not sure. All right. Last part is the big back panel. I don't know if I'll finish this because it is a big one. So anytime you have a big, gigantic piece like this, you probably want to put more effort into it so that it has, you know, more detail. It's meant to be lingered over. So here the gargoyle is sort of going to encounter the AI, and the AI is like a god, but he's like a sick god. He's sort of collapsed. I had a couple of ways I was going to do this, make him look real powerful at first, and I thought maybe he's different, you know. I was laying in bed last night and I was thinking maybe what I really should be doing for a live stream is just doing my, I do a daily gesture drawings. I'm using the Proco tool. I used to use the Quick Poses tool, which I still like. Poses is cool. Have I made this arm too long? No problem, Paul. It was great to see you. I did not expect to see you, man. There we go. There we go. And he's sort of drooling. I'm wondering how to do the eye. From the side, I want to do kind of like a heavy lidded. He's sick. There we go. He's also an artificial being. So I think I'm going to make some kind of there we go. if I do this eye symbol, I would superimpose it with on the shadow layer probably, or in its own layer, or maybe do something special with it. I'm just not sure what yet. How do we do this other finger? All right. He's in perspective. This block that he's sitting on. Hey, Grozny, how's it going? Sephiroth, hey, Sephiroth and Grozny, all the wizards are going to start filing in. Cool. You don't have to. It's nice to hear, anyways. Gotta figure out how to. There we go. This is page 7 of the Tower comic, and it's in a very rough state right now, but it's getting better. We're getting closer and closer. I've got to figure out how to make this block that he's sitting on to be some kind of 2-point perspective. Generally, that means there's a point down this way. Our eye line would be there, or maybe even higher. That seems to kind of work. Christus, how's it going? How many pages are planned? So this is a terrible answer, but I think maybe 8 or 9. I don't really plan it. It's one of those things where it's like I come up with the idea, and then I start to try and draw it, and then I think, oh, I want this to happen now too. You know, and then like anytime you hear somebody talk about like advice for doing something like this, or like have everything pre-planned, and unfortunately I have not done that. But I think it'll be 9 pages, maybe. I guess we could make it a lot longer. I mean, I'm used to doing things very episodically. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 7. And then what has to happen after this? There's some kind of confrontation between the AI god, which is this guy, and our gargoyle character, which is this guy. And I haven't really drawn him yet, but that's what he'll look like, somewhere in there. And I had talked to my friend Dan Razzle. He had suggested there be some kind of paradoxical question given to the AI that makes the AI self-destruct. And you know, I was going more for the Conan solution, where the gargoyle hurls a giant chunk of equipment at it. But I'm not really sure either of those solutions is a great solution right now. So it's one of those things, you know. This is all storytelling, of course. But how does it end is a great question. Come on, man. There we go. All right. There's some blackout right there. Boom. I'm gonna switch the music here. Yeah, throwing the chunk of equipment sounded cool to me. Like, there's a couple of like stories that I've read that seem to have like a similar vibe. There's one that's and I only barely remember, so I might have to go look it up. There used to be a comic called The Micronauts, and there's one annual where they had a guest story by Steve Ditko, and it's the main character, Arcturus Ran, time traveler, I guess his name is. He ends up in this weird dimension where there's all these destroyed things, and he ends up talking to one of the ancient guardians or something, and he causes some kind of problem for him that ends up destroying everything. And I'm thinking something similar to that. Like, there's got to be some kind of resolution, some kind of final resolution. A lot of times, you're looking at like Mobius comics. Mobius was great. He didn't even have to use dialogue sometimes. He would just have no dialogue whatsoever. Severa says, I used to have a couple of Micronauts. I really like Baron Karza, or whatever his name was. Yeah, Baron Karza was super cool. Absolutely. He was kind of like a little... he was a little bit like Darth Vader, I guess. They had him all in black. I love the Micronauts. I don't really understand what was going on in that comic at all, because it was just like, it's based on the toy. So they just sort of kind of pastiched a bunch of things together, it seems like. I was going to reread that one Ditko annual, see how he did it. There's got to be some kind of chest thing. All the other guys have this chest tube. And this is out here. Sarah says, I found 2 issues that you found in a hotel in Spain. That's awesome, though. Those are the best kind of comics, where you just kind of find some disjointed, middle of the story issue, and it's just really the characters. I feel that way about the Archies whenever I get an Archies comic. I have no idea what's going on in the Archies, but sometimes, there's something very comforting in just immersing yourselves in a different world, even if you don't understand that world. Seems cool to me. I imagine that's for like most, like, especially for like little kids, when they get a comic and they haven't been following the comic. And then they start just looking at all the character designs, and that guy just punched another guy. That's... I can't use this ribbed for his pleasure. I can't use this ribbed system because there's another one on the back of his head that's going to conflict. So I think I'll make this one like a transparent tube with bubbles somehow. Let's do a bubble tube. somewhere in the back of figuring out where this comic is really trying to say, what's the motivation for the gargoyle and what's the motivation for the AI tower to bring the gargoyle in. Oh, I forgot. I do have an ending. It's called the tower, right? Let's see if I can show you the tower. There's the tower right there. It's called the tower because it's based on tarot cards, like a tarot card tower. And I wanted to show, like, if you know the tarot card tower, it's got this lightning bolt hitting it and it's collapsing. So whatever happens to this guy at the end, which is the possessed AI entity, this giant, that is going to end in the destruction of the tower. And the edifice will collapse. But yeah, definitely, that's the ending. I just have to figure out how it gets there. Like, what is the motivation for the AI bringing it in? And what I had thought was the AI brought the gargoyle in because it's a genetically engineered creature itself, and it'll explain that in its preamble somewhere, you know. And that's what motivates the gargoyle to rebel. Gotta make him look less smiley. Let me throw this in here. Yeah, very techno goth, right? Like, one of the things that was on my mind when I was kind of planning it, that's why it's kind of a desert scene outside, was Mobius, because Mobius had all those desert comics, you know. And I thought, you know, we should have this desert scene. Although I don't know if it's strictly a desert. I've got this sort of mountain ridge thing here. And there's our tower. Maybe it'll even be implied that the AI created the gargoyle through genetic manipulation. All we know is he's not involved in the war. Like, he sees the humans and the AI fighting with the drones, and he watches it, but he doesn't like react to it. Not a great tale. How about that? Let's work on the environment a little bit. There you go. All right. Also, this should not just be a cube. This should be There we go. Something like that. All right, see you later, Sephiros. Harlan Ellison story where gargoyles come to life and wipe out humanity. Grozny, I remember that story, and it's actually a horrible story. That Harlan Ellison gargoyle story. It does have like a nun that gets I don't mean horrible written. It's like it's very bleak. Like I think they attack a nun at the end or something like that. It's in yeah, it's really brutal. That's what I remember about it. I used to just love Harlan Ellison. I met him once. I say met. I was at like a book signing, and I got I think it was the Complete Ellison signed, and I later sold it off. I love Harlan Ellison. Like when I was in high school, that was the Glass Teat, and then the other Glass Teat, and then what's the other one? Deathbird Stories. I used to check that one out of the library all the time just to reread it. I'm wondering. I don't really like the contour lines on this. I've got to figure out what else to do with it. It's definitely in Deathbird Stories. It's real short too. Here, hang on, I'll see if I can figure out what it is. No, stop. Don't do that. I'm trying to Google it. Bleeding Stones from Deathbird Stories. Is what I think it's called. Bleeding Stones. Yeah. Okay, when I drop the pencil there, it looks all wrong. So obviously, I've still got more to draw. Change one of the musics here. Well, Chris, if you read that story and don't like it, I remember it being a really brutal story that's probably not that nice to read, like compared to the other Harlan Ellison stories. So, just to be informed, pre-warned. It's been a long time since I read it, but I always wondered what the meaning of it was. It seemed like a very was it really just about religion? Was it which if so, that's a bit of a waste. I love Repent Harlequin. I love I'm trying to think of some of the other Harlan Ellison stories that I love. The Deathbird itself is great. Jeffy is 5. News from the Gelding. Wizard Jim is here. Wizard Jim. And I know your real name. But since we're online, we're just going to be incognito. And I'll call you Wizard Jim. You have been a huge inspiration to me, and I really love your channel, and I can't say that enough. I hope it continues forever, and I hope you inspire many, many more people. I love your Discord. I love the crazy crew of friends that you made along the way that are on the Discord. It's so great. Everyone's awesome. I hope I didn't embarrass you with that. I'm quite a fan. I'm trying to figure out how to change the music on this. Media assets. Oh. Is this your first live stream? Yeah, this is my first in probably 2 or 3 years. Somebody suggested, somebody I don't even know, they just left a comment and said you should live stream doing the inking layer on page 7. I thought, okay. I think they were just curious how it's done, maybe. So I thought, okay. And then they can see it kind of from start to finish if they are interested. I wonder if I should do like a tube coming out this way. Yes, this is indeed Procreate. I can do physical media, but there's so many steps that Procreate eliminates. For example, scanning the artwork after it's done. I'm terrible at scanning. Even the photo quality of this live stream is probably pretty indicative of my bad scanning. But also the ability to back out, different mistakes, which I make plenty of mistakes, and to drop the pencil layer. So everything is done. You can see this is what it starts out as. This is super rough, really ugly looking. Looks like scribbles. Whoops. Yes, you can, of course. My liege, anything for you. It's kind of funny. Even when I was taking lessons, and I did take lessons, I took online lessons at the Keeper School online, and the instructor said I was fast. What was his name? Gio Valletta was my teacher, and he I had a critique, and he gave me a bunch of things to fix, and I think I even still have the pages that he had me fix. And he goes, "Okay, so this is your issue that you've got to fix," and he gave me a bunch of things to do. And then the class ended, and I immediately went off and did, every correction that he gave me, and I turned it back in. And he sent me an email back saying, "Class just ended. You're pretty fast." Because most people take like a whole week to turn their stuff back in, but I was very motivated. I'll say that. Trying to figure out how to do this and still maintain its general perspective. Oops. want to make this look less like a piece of theater setting and more like a science fiction. Prop of some kind. Maybe there should be something coming out of this hand. Okay. Well, thank you for saying that. Most people would say messy, which it is to a degree. But the thing with comics is, and this is comic style illustration. It's not the same as a more realistic art form. Nothing like what you do, which I think is amazing. I love your acrylic, like the covers you've been doing. Those small panels are beautiful. The comic style illustration, quickness is important because the standard skill is the newspaper comic, which is almost non-existent now, right? The newspaper strip. But just imagine how quick you had to be to do a newspaper strip, even if it was like Peanuts or something. And not everything was as simple as Peanuts, or simple as some of the simpler newspaper comics of the day. Some of them were like Milt Caniff's incredible Terry and the Pirates, or Steve Canyon. My very favorite, my idol, is Al Cap, who did Little Abner. Oh, that's not good. That's the other cool thing about Procreate. You can just back out a stroke that you didn't really like. So simplicity is key, and then the other one that's much harder to define. Messy is the goat. Yeah. The other two parts of cartooning. One is simplicity, simplify everything, and then the other one is storytelling, and that is it's impossible to define. Like, what is storytelling? Well, it's things like expressions. Like if you look at his expression here, or his expression, those are the things that I'm actually really focused on. Some people think it's about the figure drawing, and figure drawing is obviously part of it, but it isn't part of every comic. Some comics don't have that kind of figure drawing. I'm almost thinking his head's a little bit too big here. So how could we do a correction on that? I'm trying to do the 3-finger swipe. There it is. It's not quite working. Okay. Nope, it didn't work. Try it again. I could just resize it, but resizing will hurt the line quality. So what I do is, there it is, cut and paste, put it on its own level. There we go, a little bit better, and then take that, drop the opacity back out. And then re-add it back onto the right layer. Comics has a lot of trickery to it too, which is part of the game. Here we go. Then we can just get rid of that one later. This I'm looking at, and he's not as thick as he should be. He should be like fatter. Kind of a fat goblin, fat gargoyle. There we go. Or stout. There we go. I think we're close to having something. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I will do a little bit of the mid-tone layer. I'll show you what I mean by the mid-tone layer. I did a little demo of this earlier. So if you look at the previous page, you can see that there's darks that are over there. So the way I like to do the mid-tones, come on, I hope I haven't crashed it. Okay, there we go. We'll start with these two panels. We're going to add another layer, and I'm going to use this spirit brush, and basically we're just going to black them out. So there we go. And then we're going to take that layer and we're going to reduce the opacity. Then we're going to figure out our light source, which is this light that's above here. And I'm just cutting it with the eraser. And then his eyes are a light source too. Where is it? And then we're just going to cut where the light is, just with the eraser. So the top of his ears and the nose, shoulder, ridges of the wings. And then we could even extend some of the shadow. This shadow is like one of your main tools for creating volume, like in a shape. So like if you had a circle, you know, to make it a sphere, as long as you're using the shadow, it's like it'll eliminate some of the need for a contour line or something like that. So we can see kind of the volume of the tail. And same thing here with the leg. That's probably incorrect, but that's fine. And same thing on this one. Especially if you're just working with black and white, you don't have that many tools. But you know, you've seen the great illustrators of history, right? You know, storybook illustrators, especially. Those are my favorites. There's a guy named Frank Pape who illustrated one of the fairy books. I think one of the fairy books. You know, the green fairy book and the blue fairy book. Off you go, Wizard Jim. I love you. Love all you guys. He could do just amazing things, though. Frank Pape was so cool. I'm trying to remember which books he did. One of the fairy books. And then, oh, he did like one of the, it's like Fairy Tales of Old India or something like that. I remember it's that one because I remember there's one picture he did of this lady with a tiger. It's one of my favorites. I'll have to look that up. Boom. Okay. We can even throw some light down here. All right, now this panel, this huge back panel, is going to be a lot tougher to do. I don't think we can rely on the same trick, but I think we can do a version of it. If I put it on a different layer, one thing I'm thinking of doing is this whole sort of rhomboid shape up here that's behind these two. We put it on its own layer and we black it out, but we lighten it back up again. It's better be on its own layer. It is. We can kind of break it off from the rest of the page a little bit. Kind of a chocolatey gray or a warm gray. And then we'll do some of this same trick down here, but it'll be much darker up at the top. Cheers, cheers. And I don't want this to be just flat black, because I've got this tube back here. That's got to be lit up somehow. I just haven't figured out how yet. We could also do like a gradient. Maybe it just gradually lightens. It comes further down. Okay. Let's take this. There we go. So now we have the two shades of gray. This one's kind of a darker shade. And we have no obvious light sources, so I might have to build some light sources in here. The light source could be really dramatic. We maybe we use one of these tubes as a light source or as eyes, or we could build some light sources into the walls to have that glow from. Maybe even over here. Yet another shadow layer. There it is. Yes. I just got to make sure I'm on the right layer. Otherwise, I've just blacked out on my art. All right, here it goes. Boom. On. All right. All right, let's use this as a light source. Oh, maybe we could do light sources on the floor. That's another possibility. So let's say we have something down here. With science fiction, you can kind of do a lot of interesting things. So let's say that these are light sources. And that means get this sort of dramatic underlighting. And then this one, we can use the smudge tool to make it glow a little bit. Can't go wrong with glowy tubes. That's totally true. We could add more. I mean, there's plenty of real estate here to do more details as well. So you have basically two types of lighting. There's probably more than that. I only know of direct and indirect. And there's probably, you know, ambient lighting. Indirect is kind of like your ambient lighting, where it's, you know, the room is lit. You don't really see which light source is lighting it up. But then direct lighting is like when you have a lamp and you know that the light is coming from the lamp. And maybe it's even in like a limited light where you can see the edges of the light as they come down. Yeah, this whole thing could be lit up. Tube right here. Might have to do that one as well. And it does make it more dramatic, you know, when you think about like in a movie, when we've reached the final room, like Aliens. Think about the movie Aliens, or the or even any of the sequels like Prometheus, or when they go into that alien structure, whatever it is. There's always some dramatic lighting, some really cool, glowy, you know, kind of, to me, that's interesting. That's actually pretty good right there. I think I'm okay with this so far. Hold on. Let's do this tube. There's going to be dialog boxes. Could be internal dialogue in here as well. Let's take this and mess around with, like, this could be super dramatic. That's really dramatic. Or we could, you know, increase or reduce the contrast. I almost want to increase it. Let's make this glow. Yeah, the space jockey room. Like, think about the lighting in the space jockey room, even. Super cool. Make this smaller and a little bit less opaque. We can smooth out some of those transitions. This is a little problematic. I have to be able to do that. Oh, that's not too bad. What's wrong? Oh, it's here. Here's the problem. Now I just have to figure out which. Nope. Which of these layers has the shadow that I want to cover up? It's not that one. And it's not that one. It's this one. There we go. Now that we know it's that layer, we can actually use that as a second tone for something a little bit shadowy. But this is all just extra. I think we're ready to start dialogue, like doing the speech bubbles and stuff, pretty soon. Which I will save for another time. All right. We're going to do some texture on the walls. And then we're going to call it a page. When I say texture on the walls, just as like a general sci-fi texture. Like if you look at the Death Star, they do this kind of interesting. It's usually like it's like a bunch of shapes like this, which I will not be doing. I'm doing this sort of a line like this, and then like your standard sci-fi texture. Let's see. There we go. And that fills everything in pretty nicely. Apologize for the repetitive music. Hang on. The Greebles. You see, you know that, yeah, it is Greebles. That's totally how I call it too. I wasn't sure everybody knew the word Greebles, but you absolutely do. I'm changing some of the music here. I think I'm almost done for right now. Whoops. What time is it? 12:04. I'm up. I got to do my second walk. I do 2 1-mile walks per day so that I don't die. There we go. That looks like a comic page to me. That looks pretty good. Okay. Thank you so much for all of you who came in. Grozny, thank you for hanging out. Thanks also to Sephiros and yeah, oh, that's totally true. I do 2 miles a day, just walking, and I'm hoping for the best. I don't want to die. It was so good of you to hang out, and thanks so much for everybody that came by. I will leave this video up. This was I think I might do a bunch of these sort of live streams. The Sketch Club is doing some kind of hangout on a Discord that I'm probably gonna jump into that, but oh, and October is coming up, and I'm going to be trying this. I tend to come up with more ideas for projects than I can actually finish. Trying to do a comic or like a short comic strip for every one of the prompts, and that will be for Flamingo Nights. So I've been doing Flamingo Nights for a while. I haven't posted any of it because it's all struggling. Like, I've tried many different ways to do it, and other than the character designs, it's pretty much struggling. But if I get good at it, maybe it'll be worth like posting up. We'll see. It was awesome. Thanks so much for hanging out, and I'm going to end my streams. Talk to you later.